search and rescue crews helping in southwest Florida.
I thought hurricane insurance covered surge.
Our DC bureau has the story. A frantic call to 911.
You left my daughter in the rental car.
After a toddler is left inside a rental car at a Florida airport. And the last chance for tickets before expected holiday price hikes.
This Thanksgiving will be a very expensive holiday to travel.
These stories and more coming up on Newsbreak.
Hello, South Florida. I'm Kenya Cardone.
I'm Paloma Pimentel. Today is Thursday, October 13th, 2022.
Live from the South Florida Media Network's Biscayne-based studios in North Miami, this is SFMN Newsbreak.
Help after Hurricane Ian coming from across the country, including an area around our nation's capital. Floridians affected by Hurricane Ian may face another hurdle as they rebuild their homes and businesses, having insurance cover their claims.
The network's Michelle Morris reports from our DC bureau with updates on Hurricane Ian recovery.
Several task forces are wrapping up their work in Florida after helping Floridians recover after Hurricane Ian. And now, some residents are facing a new hurdle. Their home insurance claims are being rejected. Earlier this week, first responders from Virginia left the Sunshine State after completing their search, rescue, and recovery mission to ensure those affected by the storm were accounted for and brought home to safety. And now, Floridians whose homes are destroyed, neighborhoods decimated, and businesses wrecked have filed insurance claim and for FEMA assistance only to be rejected, and some dealing with fraud.
I went in to apply for FEMA and just found out that somebody's already applied a fraudulent claim using all my information and my social security number.
Insurance Commissioner David Altmaier issued an emergency order that prevents insurers from dropping any clients or not allowing them to renew their policies under the Florida Insurance Code between September 28th to November 28th, 2022. But according to the Insurance Information Institute, only about 18% of Florida homeowners have flood insurance, which leaves many Floridians without the proper coverage.
I thought hurricane insurance covered surge because that's part of a hurricane. It does not.
The Florida Office of Insurance Regulation says the number of claims are expected to continue to rise, with over 250,000 claims already submitted, and payouts can be anywhere between the $60 to $70 billion range. In laws such as My Safe Florida Home, recently reenacted just a few months prior to Hurricane Ian to provide grants to homeowners to retrofit their homes and add hurricane protection, is still not active. However, people severely impacted by the storm are still encouraged to file for FEMA individual assistance that may include temporary housing and disaster-related needs. Governor DeSantis says the state's goal is to help those who've been impacted by the storm with insurance claim and calls for them to be paid as quickly as possible to help people get back on their feet. In Washington, D.C., reporting for South Florida Media Network, Michelle Morris.
A new plan is in the works this morning that will allow up to 24,000 Venezuelan migrants to stay in the U.S. The Department of Homeland Security outlined the plan yesterday. The hopeful migrants must apply for entry, have a sponsor living in the U.S., and endure screening and vetting. Vaccination is also a requirement.
2 Cuban migrants traveled more than 100 miles to the Florida Keys after sailing on windsurfing boards. One of them was found clinging to the 7-mile bridge. They were detained yesterday morning by U.S. Border Patrol agents, and they say the migrants made landfall after their journey on windsurfing boards from the island. No injuries were reported, and they are under processing to be sent back.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is under investigation today by the federal government for possible misuse of state relief funding. The U.S. Treasury Department is examining the Florida governor for use of coronavirus interest funds in a stunt to transport Texas migrants to Martha's Vineyard. The funds came from President Biden's American Rescue Plan to help those in the state from the pandemic's health emergency.
Never before seen information is set to be revealed today during the January 6th committee hearing. Committee members are prepared to publicly display classified emails from Secret Service members and new video from the Capitol insurrection. Many speculate that this highly awaited hearing will give more insight into ties between Trump's inner circle and extremist groups.
A legal defeat to the tune of nearly $1 billion this morning after a unanimous jury decision against InfoWars host Alex Jones. As the network's Catherine Miranda reports, yesterday's verdict had to do with claims Jones made on air that the Sandy Hook school shooting was a hoax.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury.
Alex Jones, the conspiracy theorist who was found liable last year of defaming families for the Sandy Hook school shooting victims, must pay for his words.
I'm just proud that what we were able to accomplish was just to simply tell the truth. And it shouldn't be this hard, and it shouldn't be this scary.
The Connecticut jury of 6 unanimously decided Jones must pay $965 million in compensatory damages to the 15 plaintiffs. 14 are family members of victims, and the 15th is an FBI agent who responded to the scene on the day of the shooting. Family members sat in court, some crying as the verdict was read. Jones was not there.
The whole thing was fake.
The InfoWars host spent years spreading disinformation about the 2012 Sandy Hook school massacre, which left 20 children and 6 educators dead, calling the shooting a hoax, alleging the families involved were crisis actors. During 4 weeks of emotional testimony, family members of the victims described how they'd been harassed over the past decade, both in person and online.
For years I've been dealing with this, and everybody was online, or everybody was in the comfort of their studio in some other state, and I never had a chance to tell anybody how I felt or what I thought. I'm paraphrasing at this point, but just how dare you? You're talking about my daughter. She was killed. Who do you think you are?
And she said, "Who's that?" And I said, "That's my son, Ben. He died in his first grade classroom at Sandy Hook School." And she said, "What?" And I said, "Yeah, he died at Sandy Hook." And she said, "You're lying. That didn't happen."
During the trial, Jones took the stand only one time on September 22nd and got in a heated exchange with the plaintiff's attorney.
Today, a jury representing our community and our nation rendered a historic verdict. A verdict against Alex Jones's lies and their poisonous spread, and a verdict for truth and for our common humanity.
Jones's defense team opted not to cross-examine him, and Jones never took the stand again during the trial. His attorney saying this after the verdict was read yesterday.
Certainly it's more than we expected. That's an understatement. But we look very much forward to an appeal in this case.
For the South Florida Media Network, I'm Catherine Miranda.
In a published report this morning, former Florida International University President Mark Rosenberg will earn more than $375,000 a year when he returns to the classroom as an FIU professor this spring. According to an article in this morning's Miami Herald, Rosenberg will teach one course a semester. Rosenberg has been on sabbatical since his resignation in January, still collecting his presidential salary of more than $500,000.
A new forecast predicts the cost of holiday travel will shoot up this week as the Thanksgiving rush gets closer. The big question whether that ticket you pay for will be worth it after the cancellations we saw this morning. The network's Alexa Velez has more.
Thanksgiving travel is about to take off, and it will be the most expensive of the last 5 years. Travel site Hopper says tickets will cost 19% more compared to last year. The average domestic round-trip ticket, $274.
This Thanksgiving will be a very expensive holiday to travel, especially for travelers who are booking late.
Now, the pressure is on airlines to avoid a meltdown like this summer when they canceled a total of 55,000 flights. Federal data shows 40% of all cancellations were for reasons that the airlines could control, not weather.
It is abundantly clear that the majority of delays rest with the airlines.
While airlines insist the blame is on the understaffed air traffic control centers.
In the summer, we had shortages almost every day, and they can lead to hundreds of cancellations and delays.
Hiring is ramping up. The FAA is bringing on new air traffic controllers. American Airlines has hired more than 1,400 new employees since Labor Day. United has added more than 1,500 new pilots this year, and there are 3,000 new flight attendants at Southwest. Even still, carriers are cutting their fall schedules, a move Delta called a huge improvement in curbing summer cancellations and delays. Industry data shows American Airlines dropped 31,000 placeholder flights from its November schedule.
We're expecting to see chaos at the airports over the holidays, but American travelers have shown that they're resilient and they're willing to pay more and experience these disruptions to get back to see family and friends after 2 years of depressed travel.
For travelers, it all adds up to a travel season with higher prices and fewer options. I'm Alexa Velez reporting for the South Florida Media Network.
NASA's Big Moon mission has a new launch date.
That's still ahead, and so is the story.
Was the car running? Did she feel hot or anything?
It was not. That's why I took her out.
A rental car center worker at a Florida airport makes a big save after a customer makes a major mistake. Newsbreak will be back in 2 minutes.
If a natural disaster shows up at your doorstep, you can't just turn it away. That's why it's important to prepare for emergencies before they show up. Go to ready.gov/plan to find the tools and tips you need. And make a plan today.
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right. Because a few hours ago, in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign. Not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a fourth ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
A disturbing discovery in the back seat of a returned rental car. A grandfather in Florida wakes up in jail on one charge of child neglect.
Deputies say 62-year-old David Towner returned a rental car and left granddaughter in the back seat.
I picked my dad up in the airport, and he was dropping a rental car off, and he said that he had my daughter at the house. And yeah, he left my daughter in the rental car at the International Airport.
Deputies arrived to Daytona Beach International Airport around 6 p.m. after Hertz employees discovered the toddler in the vehicle. The girl was breathing normally, and they believe she was in the 80-degree heat for 45 minutes. Towner was remorseful and cooperative, and his release bond was set at $2,500.
After multiple reschedules, NASA has set a date for the Artemis 1 mission that is attempting to launch from the Kennedy Space Center. This is the start of a program to get people back on the moon by sending an uncrewed spacecraft first in order to see if the rocket is reliable. In the past few months, a series of issues that include faulty sensor, fuel leaks, and severe weather conditions have pushed the launch back. The agency has, however, announced they will try again on November 14th.
That's all the time we have for Newsbreak. I'm Paloma Pimentel.
I'm Kenya Cardone. Get more news anytime at sfmn.fiu.edu.